Curtis Calhoun with MMA News, and right now I am joined by Adrian Yanez. He's got a big fight coming up at UFC 287. Adrian, how's it going, man?
Man, going good, man. Really excited about April 8th, man. Out here training hard, man. I'm just really excited.
Coming up right around the corner. This has been kind of a long way for you in terms of finding your next opponent. Talk to me a little bit about how this Rob Font fight came together and how pumped you are to get back in there.
Man, I'm really excited to get back in there. It's been a while for me, and I'm not used to this. I want to be, I wanted to be very active, but things happen. The way the Rob Font fight came around is after, like, I think it was like right after International Fight Week. I was getting told that Rob Font was on the horizon, and then like a couple months, like a month or two go by, and I'm just kind of just waiting to see if there's any confirmation going on. What something was going on. Come to find out that Rob wasn't going to be fighting for the rest of the year. I think personal issues and like him just healing up and all that stuff. So, yeah, try to move on from that. And I was trying to fight on November, but uh, fights just weren't coming along and all that stuff. But then as soon as at the end of December hits, they're like, "Hey, well, it's fun." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And I was trying to get December. I was trying, well, not trying to get December. I was trying to get San Antonio because like I wanted to fight in Texas again in front
Right.
of my home
Yeah.
state, home crowd. Man, I was ready for it. And then got put on April 8th. And then next, I was really bummed out because I was like, man, I want UC San Antonio. I think, I was really, really bummed out. And then the fight card drops and it was UFC 287. I was like, oh shit. And then after that,
Right.
it was main card status, big fight. And I'm like, oh, okay, this totally makes up for UFC San Antonio. I'm not that mad anymore. So, but yeah, no, I'm really happy that it's on a big card. We got a good spot. We got a good spot on the card, and man, honestly, I'm just blessed. I'm ready to go.
One thing that's always stood out about you from the times that I've chatted with you is that you're all about making fan-friendly fights, right? In terms of stylistic matchups, the fans are going to be excited about. How much more excitement does that add in camp having an opponent like Rob Font, who you know is going to bring it and who's going to be a good dance partner too?
Man, it brings a lot of excitement because I know the 50K bonus is right there for me, right there for the taking. Whether it's a performance of the night or fight of the night, it's right there. Extra 50K always feels good in my pockets. So it gets me up, it gets me excited, and then on top of that, the implications of going into this fight, I go out there, I fight Rob Font, who's number 6 in the world. I start him. That does wonders for my career. So yeah, 100%. It gets me going. Like I'm like, all right, cool. Like I talk about wanting to change my family's life, and this is the fight that does it for me. So it gets me going, man. It's exciting because on top of that, just on top of that, the fighter that I have in front of me is just a phenomenal fighter himself. So I know he's gonna want to bring it, and he's coming off of 2 losses, so I know he's gonna bring it. And he was never out in those fights, but he's coming off of 2 losses, so he wants to come back and try to make a statement. And unfortunately, he's running into me, so that's the part that's gonna bring conflict, and we're gonna go out there, we're gonna fight. It's gonna be exciting, and after I stop him, it's still gonna be all love from me for Rob. But man, it's gonna be exciting.
No doubt about it, man. And I want to touch briefly on your last fight too against Tony Kelly. I remember we talked, I think it was like a week or two right before that fight. There was a lot of build up to that fight, back and forth between you and him. Obviously, he was getting critiqued for comments he made while he was cornering a teammate and all that. How are you kind of able to keep your emotions in check and focus on your performance and ultimately it led to that big knockout you got?
Honestly, for me, I'm very good at compartmentalizing a lot of things, and I just love fighting. So it's easy for me to block everything out. Like once I'm in the fight, like it makes it like it's easier for me to tune it out because I'm also like I'm also the guy that just like watch when I get you, I'm gonna fucking get you. So that was my mindset in there. Like whenever I hit him, like I knew whenever in that fight, as soon as I hit him. Like I knew that it was just gonna strategically me just break him down because I knew whenever I got my shot to really lay it on him, I was going to do so. And I just had to be patient. I couldn't force anything, and that's honestly the same type of fight I have to fight this time around with Rob. But going to the Tony Kelly fight, yeah, everybody always kind of asks me, is like, how do you keep your emotions in check? But like, if you're a fighter and you don't know how to keep your emotions in check, you get emotional, and like you start getting out of character, man. Of course, it's gonna be you're gonna make a lot of mistakes, and I don't want to make the mistake of waking up and the doctor's waking me up, putting the flashlight in my eye, see if I'm good. I'd never want to wake up to that. So, yeah, I want to be the guy that puts you out and all that stuff. So it's easier for me to kind of just hone in and zone in because it's a dangerous game and you got to be on point every single time. And if you're not, you have a slip up, you get knocked out. Look at what happened with Leon Edwards and Usman. The small lapse of judgment sealed that fight for Leon. So yeah, like you have to stay in it the whole entire time because anything can happen, at any given second, So it's for me, it's easy to stay really zoned in and really focused.
When you look at Rob Font's last few performances, how do you see this fight playing out stylistically? Obviously, it's got a lot of excitement attached to it, but what have you made of his last few performances?
Nah, even though he's lost, he's looked phenomenal. He was putting up numbers. He was out there throwing so much hands, so much legs. He was throwing combos, and he was out there. He was landing at a good percentage. So I know on my end, I'm just like, all right, this is what he's gonna bring. He's gonna bring a heavy type of style, a volume type of style, and he's gonna look to take my head off. So I had to be like, I had to make sure that I had to keep my game tight. For me, like I don't really even look at most of those losses as losses because he was in there the whole entire time. He's not like one of those fighters that took a couple losses, but they were like really bad losses. Like he got knocked out and all that stuff. He got flatlined, a couple times. And no, he was in the fight the whole entire time. Even though he got rocked a couple times in that Cheeto fight, he was never really out, if that makes sense. Because he was winning 4 minutes of the fight, loses that minutes, but that minute was like fight ending sequences, so he lost the fight. But yeah, honestly, it's not a what's it called? It's not a like a fight where it's like he's done. He's
Right.
fucking on. He's on one. And honestly, I'm taking it very, very, very seriously because I know like the implications of it just in general. Like even without all the extra stuff of Rob, just the implications of me finishing Rob. It's like there's like top 6. Like I'm there. It's like the end goal is right there in front of me. So it's like I have to get there. So for me, I'm really excited, and I had to be on my A game whenever I'm fighting Font. I got to be patient. I can't let him have things. I can't let him fire off his combinations. I got to do a lot of things. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited because I've been working. I've been, I had a year off, but I was working the whole entire time, man. And I'm really excited to go out there and put on a performance.
Something I want to touch on there that you mentioned is, you look at his last few fights against Jose Aldo, Marlon Vera. Obviously, he's been in those fights, but one thing that's really stood out is that he's taken a lot of damage. You mentioned he's been flatlined a couple times in his career, finished. Do you feel like, that damage accumulation that he's taking could come back to bite him in this matchup? Or I guess, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I don't think he's been flatlined. I know he's been finished with submissions and all that stuff, but I don't think he's been flatlined. But he's been hurt and he's been wobbled plenty of times. But especially that last fight with Cheeto, he fought Jose Aldo. He got hurt. I think they said he broke his orbital bone in that Jose Aldo fight. Comes back, fights Cheeto, and he says he came back way too quickly and he's getting hurt left and right. So like for me, I'm just like, well, like he's letting you know that the damage that he's taking. So he's gonna fight another guy who's a hard hitter like me. To me, it just is just like it's not the best fight for you, but it's for him. He's probably like stylistically, he's like another guy that's gonna stand up and not wrestle him or anything like that. So he's probably like really excited to fight a guy like me. And then also I'm an up and comer, so he's probably just like no, I'm gonna shut this up and comer down, and I'm like I had to go out there and prove that I belong at the top. So for me on my end, me seeing that the damage is because he's gotten rocked in a lot of his fights, and by some people I don't feel can punch, but like nah, he's resilient. He's able to come back, and he's just like one of those guys that's just not gonna give up. He's not gonna fold. He's gonna be a fighter to the very end. So he's in it, and he's honestly like it's that makes him dangerous because a lot of guys, you rock him most of the times you can get the finish, but he's just been able to find the way to stick it through and just like keep on and to keep on fighting. So for me, I'm really excited to try to figure that puzzle out and try to get the finish for sure. Because man, I think he's like 36, he's up there, he's getting older, and I'm the younger guy coming in with all the heat, all the hype going out there, and I get to fight this guy. And this for me, I'm really excited because I'm gonna get to show off my skills again.
With how stacked the bantamweight division is, I mean, you just look at it top to bottom. I mean, it's killers from 1 to 15. Do you feel like is there a part of you that feels like you not only have to win this fight and coast to a decision, but also win it impressively, like get that finish, just to stay in the thick of things in the division? Or I guess what are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, the way I fight, I'm always looking for a finish. I don't want to be in there the whole 15, whole 25, because I feel I like I went to a decision once in my last 6 fights, and I don't I don't like the feeling of walking out and just being like I didn't get the finish. I don't like that feeling. I like finishing. I like knocking people out. I like putting a statement behind all of my wins. I just don't want to be like, oh, I 27 this guy, but you know, I don't know. Like, there's just one of those things that I like finishing fights. I never got the like wrestling the guy to the finish or anything like that. I want to finish the guy. Like, I want to make sure that I knock them out. I want to TKO. I want to submit. I want to do whatever I can to get the finish to make it really definitive. So, on my end, it like there's no pressure from the outside in. It's all the pressure is me putting it on myself because I want to get the finish. If we go all three, then that's fine and dandy. But I know for myself, I'm going to be really disappointed with myself if I don't go out there and get the finish. And on my end, I have to get the finish.
I remember after your last fight, obviously a lot of fighters from around the sport were praising you, but one that came to mind was Sean O'Malley. He had a lot of really good things to say about you. Said that he would, love to fight you at some point down the line. When you look at him, do you feel like that's kind of an inevitable matchup based on you guys being around the same age and coming up and being two of the young killers in the division?
Oh, absolutely. That fight's definitely going to happen. I know we've been kind of clamoring back and forth a little bit, not even clamoring, but just like kind of like calling each other out, for quite a bit of time, so that fight's definitely going to happen. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. We're going to fight. So on my end, he has really good skills. I have really good skills. So it's just more of like, when is it going to happen? Is it going to be after he loses his the title shot, or if it's going to be one of those where something weird happens in that 35 title fight, and he doesn't get a fight for the year or something like that, and he just wants to take a fight, and I happen to be good and healthy and ready to take that fight, I'd be here 100%. So on my end, it's just more like the timing issue on that. But yeah, that fight is definitely going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
Absolutely, man. A couple more questions for me. Once again, I really do appreciate the time. Always great to chat with you. Obviously, we have a big title fight coming up between Aljamain Sterling and Henry Cejudo. Really fascinating stylistic matchup too. How do you see that playing out?
That one's definitely an unconventional wrestler versus a conventional wrestler. Like more, it's kind of hard to explain. It's kind of hard to explain, but Aljo is like called the Funk Master for a reason. He most of his movement's funky, his wrestling is funky, his jiu-jitsu is very funky, but all of it is very, very, very effective. And if you look at someone as a tactician, you think of Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo is very like he takes it as a tactive approach whenever he's looking at fights and looking at and looks at fighting in general. Like, he looks for the small things and tries to exploit it into bigger things. And I love they're both very like high IQ in MMA as well too. That's one thing that I do admire about both of them, because I spent like a week or two with Aljo on like trained with Aljo before, and then I trained with Aljo on another separate occasion. And then talking to Henry, international fight, we talked a little bit, and he was giving advice to me, and then also kind of just going out and going on his way to make sure that I'm doing good, So I really appreciate Henry as well for that too. But the mental side, when it comes to being how smart, when it comes to MMA IQ, they both have it. They're both very smart, and they're both like Aljo is very grappling smart. Like he knows exactly what he wants. He knows exactly what he wants to do. Henry can be very like MMA in general smart, plays with different stances. He understands the wrestling game just like how Aljamain does. It's going to be a wild fight, and even in the standard department, even though it's wild and funky and really, he's really herky jerky. Yeah, herky jerky in his movement. Aljo knows what he's doing. He does it for a reason, and everything that Henry does in the stand-up, he knows what he's doing. He does it for a reason. So to me, it's just an interesting matchup, and I just want to see it just as a fan, and also knowing how they both fight and how they both approach the game. I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to see how that plays out.
No doubt about it, man. Well, last question for me. What are the headlines going to read after UFC 287 to get your hand raised? What are we going to be talking about? What are we going to be writing about after your performance?
Yanez first got to stop Rob Font via KO. yeah, that's all I got to do, man. That's all I got to do is just go in there and just knock him out. Just go in there, one punch him, just flatline him, and that's all I got to do. Just walk into the center, just point in the middle of the rings, be like, right here, Font, and then slay one right on his chin.
I love it, man. Well, hey, I appreciate the time, my man. Before we wrap things up here, I'll give you the floor to give out any shout outs to your team, social media if you want. I'll give you the final word.
Oh man, thank you so much, man. Thank you for the platform interviewing for this interview, man. Thank you so much. Shout out to my guy Chris Danuna at Chris Danuna Law Firms and all that. Also Iridium, thank you so much, Jason, all those guys. They do wonderful things for me. Also a big shout out to my guy Ricky. He does all my media stuff for like the posting and all that stuff, and does my YouTube. So we got the YouTube channel going up, so definitely hit the subscribe, hit the follow button on my YouTube. Trying to grow that audience as well. We're doing a lot of things with it. So yeah, guys, all love.
Absolutely, man. Well, hey, I appreciate the time, Adrian. All the best with these last few weeks of camp, and I'm sure we'll chat again soon, man. Thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.